How yins doing today? It's me, Suburban Yinzer, aka Logan Joyce. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite presidents because today is President's Day, one of my favorite American holidays. So before I have a further ado, I'm going to get into it. Let's go. Number 5 on my list. It's going to be surprising for all yins that have known me for years. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Democrat. JFK. John F. Kennedy was born May 29th, 1917 in Brookline, Massachusetts. Died November 22nd, 1963, and he was the 35th President of the United States. Sadly, John F. Kennedy was assassinated on November 22nd, 1963. But what do I have to say about JFK? JFK is on my top 5 favorite presidents because of his, first of all, his ethnicity. Roman Catholic, Irish Catholic. I, as a Irish Catholic, well, a wee bit of Irish on my dad's side of the family. My great-great-grandparents are from Ireland. I can say that it's nice to see a Roman Catholic president, the first ever Roman Catholic president, but especially an Irishman. John Fitzgerald Kennedy broke the mold. This guy was part of the old school, let's just say, classical liberal. Not a progressive in any sort of way. Not like, oh, I'm alt-left, communism, yeah. You know what I mean? He wasn't like that. JFK was still your old school conservative Democrat. And I know that sounds a little woo today, but they did exist. They're endangered species nowadays, but they do exist. More in the senior citizens, more in like your grandparents' ages, you know what I mean? It does. If your grandparents are Democrats, they voted for JFK. And they like those policies. They like those principles. You know what I mean? Ask any grandparent how many genders there are, and they're going to say 2. Ask somebody in their 20s how many genders there are, it's going to be way more than 2, if you know what I mean. This is the era I'm talking about. This guy, the reason why I love him is because he wanted to expose the federal government. He wanted to expose the corruption in the federal government, the CIA, the FBI, all of the bureaus. He wanted to expose and find out what's really going on, who's calling the shots, who's pulling the strings, and that's what I like. To me, that's liberal. That's classical liberalism. Or maybe a libertarianism, if I might be so bold, to question the federal government. I know every American should do that, to be suspicious of the feds, but you should also try to find out what's really going on. What's going on with the FBI? What's going on with the CIA? What's going on with the DHS? You know what I mean? What's going on with all these bureaus? What's going on with our tax dollars? Who are these people really, and what are they doing for us or against us? That's what JFK was trying to do. He didn't want to get involved in Vietnam, and sadly, this guy took a bullet for that. He took a bullet. This guy was assassinated because he wanted to find out the truth. He didn't want to spill blood in Vietnam. He was a World War II veteran. He knew the sacrifices that young boys would have to make in Vietnam in the future, and he didn't want to have anything to do with it but the establishment, if you watch the movie JFK 1991, the industrialized, let's just say, military bureaucracy that we have in the deep state. They wanted to get involved in Vietnam, and they saw a money grab. So this guy was in between them and the corruption in Vietnam. They had to take him out of the way. Sadly, he sacrificed his life for his principles. And that's why, as a Roman Catholic, I can understand that. Because Roman Catholics are all about the book. You follow the book to the T. Sometimes you bend the rules a little bit. I'm not saying the guy was 100% a saint, because he was not a saint. He was an adulterer, and he cheated on Jackie every chance he got. The guy was a polygamist, if you know what I mean. Ooh, a woman. Ooh, a woman. Ooh, a woman. That's not me. But does that make him a bad guy? No. That just makes him human. All humans have faults, and I'm sure he went to confession as a good Catholic boy and confessed his sins to his priest. That, ladies and gentlemen, is my fifth favorite president of all time. I dropped the cards on the ground. Bear with me here. So, who are the rest of my favorite presidents of all time? This one's going to surprise you too. Another Democrat. Many of you could say, "Whoa, Logan, what are you doing? Are you smoking weed?" Watch this. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 32nd President of the United States, a Democrat, by the way, if you weren't surprised. Born January 30th, 1882, Hyde Park, New York, and died April 12th, 1945, Warm Springs, Georgia. The reason why I like FDR is because the man saved the United States of America. There is no doubt. And, to be honest, saved the planet. He saved the globe. Many people don't understand the importance of President Roosevelt, well, the second Roosevelt. Franklin Delano Roosevelt saved this country twice. The Great Depression and World War II. There's a reason why he was elected 4 times. There's a reason. The American people, my ancestors, just like with Kennedy, these are my ancestors' presidents. I don't really know any of my ancestors that voted against these two guys, especially Roosevelt. Roosevelt broke the mold. This guy was completely just a black sheep of the rich and elite at the time. This guy was born and raised into a family and into a legacy that was absolutely like better than the people, better than the poor people. But when the Great Depression rolled around, he saw issues and he saw problems. He saw that this country was going to be destroyed. He saw that people were going to starve to death like the Irish potato famine. I'm not even joking. People were going to starve to death by the millions in this country. And if they already did, it was going to be even 20 times worse if it wasn't for Roosevelt. Roosevelt wasn't, your typical modern day leftist who is all about, we have to get involved in everything. The government has to get involved in everything. But this guy saw a practical matter. He saw the federal government's powers as practical. When you have millions of men unemployed, starving, their children starving to death, the kids are literally skin and bone, the wives are literally desperate, the men can't get any work anywhere, by the tens of millions, the banks are completely gone, everybody's money is out the window, nobody has any money anymore. What are you going to do as president? What are you going to do? You're going to get involved. Sometimes you're going to break rules. Sometimes you're going to bend the Constitution like this. You're going to bend it. But you have to at that time. And I understand that I'm a strict constitutionalist. I believe in following the rules by the book. But when it comes to FDR, you can't allow the country to collapse because, well, I can't touch anything. I have strict constitutional obligations. No. FDR did what he had to do. He created Social Security. He created all of these government programs. Sometimes you might say, but you know what? It was necessary. But when it came to World War II and fascism and the Nazis, you had to stop them. You had to stop the global fascist movement in Japan, Germany, and Italy. You had to stop these people. You had to stop Hitler because they weren't going to stop until the whole world was enslaved by them. So that's why FDR is number 4. He's an amazing president. Okay, who's number 3? Who's number 3 on Logan Joyce's list? I'm dropping the cards every 2 minutes. Jesus. So, all right. Who is number 3? 3 is President Ronald Wilson Reagan. I don't have too much to say. And here's what I'm going to say. Ronald Reagan is the head, just like the top tier conservative, top tier right-wing conservative, tip of the pyramid, amazing man. This man invented the economics of, let's just say, modern day conservatism, modern day capitalism, Reaganomics. You lower the tax for the rich. You lower the taxes. You take the burden off the companies and the corporations. And what's that going to do? It's going to create job growth. It's going to create prosperity. Because if the rich have, listen, I am a capitalist. I believe in giving tax breaks to the corporations, to the rich. You might say, whoa, 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 Logan, come on, they don't pay enough taxes. They don't pay their fair share. Well, Ronald Reagan didn't feel that way because he was not a socialist. And here's why. I'm going to get a little bit further into this. He was born February 6, 1911 in Tampico, Illinois, and died June 5th, 2004 in Bel Air, California. This guy was an FDR supporter when he was younger in the 30s and the 40s. He was a Democrat, but he changed because he saw that the Democrat Party in the 60s was going down like the LBJ, like Johnson days. It was going full liberal, full socialist. He didn't want anything to do with that. He saw the party switch, and he said in the 50s and the 60s, I don't know about this Democrat Party anymore. So he became a Republican. But his policies, his early policies, his early views back in the 30s and the 40s was pro-Roosevelt, pro-Social Security, pro-New Deal. Because it was practical. You had to save the country. FDR was a good guy. Those programs and that involvement was necessary to save the republic. But what Reagan did in the 80s is he flipped the switch. Back to my point about the tax breaks for the rich. Actions speak louder than words. I don't have to tell you anything. Go look it up on Wikipedia. In 1984, on his re-election, he won 49 out of 50 states. Biggest landslide in a presidential election history. And there's a reason why. Ask your parents and grandparents about the 80s. Ask them about the unemployment rate. Ask them about how many vacations they went on. Ask them about how many Ataris and video game systems they got for Christmas. Thanks, Ronald. Thanks, Reagan. I mean, I hate to be like that, but my mom and my dad, when they were growing up in the 80s, I didn't. When they were growing up in the 80s, people were making money like this. Do you know why? Because of Reagan's tax cuts, because of the prosperity. You relieve the rich, you relieve the corporations, it trickles down and it gives the tax breaks and takes the taxes off of the working class, off of the working people, because they won't have to pay the taxes on the products that the companies are making. See, that is the hidden tax. He said it on Johnny Carson in the 70s. The hidden tax that they get you on is through the companies and the corporations. If you tax the corporations, the products go up. The prices of the products go up. So essentially, you're paying double taxes. You're paying we the working class who work 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or 7 to 3 who work and slave all day, we pay the tax. And that's what, when Reagan broke the mold, he said no more of that. And that's why he is my top 3 favorite presidents. Okay? Who's number 4? I mean, wait. Who's number 2? Yeah, who's number 2? We're getting close to 1. So, bear with me here. This is going to be controversial. You guys are going to literally go ape when you see this. President Donald John Trump. I know. Give it here. Let me see. Give it to me. I know. That's you guys behind the camera. That's you guys. You guys are punching me across the face right now. Logan, how can you do that? Logan, how can you do that? I know. Let me hear it in the comments. I know. So, born June 14th, 1946, New York City, New York. Why do I like Trump? Why do I like Donald Trump? Why did I vote for Donald Trump 2 times? Why? Why have I been supporting Trump since 2016? Well, I'll tell you why. It's all I gotta say. Donald Trump is the modern day Ronald Reagan. He is following Reagan's policies to the T. He is following the economic policies, the nationalistic, pro-USA, pro-America policies. He's following them to a T. And if you don't remember, a couple hours north of me, in Butler County, Pennsylvania, the man took a bullet in the ear for this country. You could say, Demonians can say, whoa, Logan, he didn't take it for the country. But he was running as a presidential candidate, as a 78-year-old man, literally in his late 70s, who's a billionaire. Why the hell is he running for president anyway? You know why? Because he wants to save this country. And he took a bullet for it in Butler County, almost got shot. That is why he is my number 2 favorite president of all time. But many Yins can say, well, who's number 1? Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you the number 1 favorite president of all time. It's going to shock all Yins. All Yins are going to be shocked when you hear this. You ready for this? Thomas Jefferson. Let's lower the camera a little bit so Yins can see him. The top favorite. Thomas Jefferson. Born April 13th, 1743. Goochland, Albemarle County, colony of Virginia. Died July 4th, 1826. Monticello, Virginia. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to explain myself when it comes to my own cousin, when it comes to my own flesh and blood. I'm part of the Jefferson lineage. This is my blood. My 9th great grandma was Mary Jefferson, his grand aunt. Okay, my 9th great uncle was his grandfather, Thomas Jefferson the first. Or maybe the second. I don't know. I forget the first, second, maybe. But we are Jefferson blood in my mom's side of the family from Virginia. So, any of Yins that doubt this, the Declaration of Independence speaks louder than words. Take a minute to read my cousin's genius declaration to the King of England from 1776 and tell me that man isn't a Chad. Anyway, boys, that's all I gotta say about it. So, peace out. Happy President's Day.